Hello, bowling fans. This is Dustin J. Marquis coming to you taped, as always, from the gem along the Colorado River, Fort Mojave, Arizona, on location in Elite Pro Shop, bringing yet another edition of your favorite bowling talk show, Bowling Evolved. Joining me, as always, is my partner in crime. He's the five-time PBA national champion, the man with the golden left hand, and you know what? He's just one heck of a nice guy. The one, the only, Eric Forkel. Eric, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, my friend. Glad to be doing this.
Absolutely. And we have one incredible show tonight, although it will be a little shorter than what our fans might be expecting, but we're just going to try to hit the high notes. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to our listeners. Unfortunately, a scheduling conflict has kept Robert Lawrence from appearing on the show tonight. We do hope to get Robert in here in the future because, Eric, as you well know, Robert really is one of the true nice guys out there in the bowling industry, and it's always a privilege and just a lot of fun to have him on the show.
He is. He's terrific, and it's a shame. Like I said, we just got to try to line this thing up, but I'm sure we'll have him on very soon.
I do hope so as well. But that's okay because even though we don't have Robert on the show, we do have some amazing, incredible, fantastic, and phenomenal news to our listeners. If you were under a rock and you did not see our press release, we have one of the most breathtaking stories we can possibly come up with, which is that our 2x4 tournament on November 20th in Laughlin, Nevada at the beautiful Riverside Lanes. Eric, I believe you love that place, right?
I love that place. Yes, I do.
Our tournament in Laughlin, Nevada is great. At the Riverside Lanes will be picked up by TVS Television Network. TVS Television Network is a sports broadcasting company who will be doing streaming as well as distribution of our show, hopefully to some TV sources as well, and about 4 or 5 different streaming services online. And I got to say, Eric, I am really excited about having TVS on board and, of course, getting our tournament into the limelight.
Yeah, what a great opportunity. Hopefully everything lines up properly and this thing turns into be a very big success, and we'll be able to do a few more events down the road.
Very much hope so. The Bowling Evolved at 2x4 again in Laughlin, Nevada will be on November 20th with a 5-game optional sweeper on the 19th. It will be 4 games across 8 lanes with any doubles combination. $80 entry will guarantee $2,000 for first place. It will be handicapped 100% at 210, which I think is a very unique perspective for a lot of bowlers. Eric, I know off the air you and I have talked at length about what attracts bowlers, what doesn't, and I think 210 is somewhat the new par in bowling, and I think by putting our handicap spot there, I think we'll get some of the best bowlers from the scratch and pro side of things, as well as giving your everyday house bowler a chance to go out there and compete with the best.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that you were going to guarantee some pretty good money on top should, and I said should, make bowlers want to come out and take a shot at it. Again, it's with our sweeper on Saturday and then the main event on Sunday. It should be quite the festivities in Laughlin for 2 days.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. By the time this show goes up, the flyer will be available on the Bowling Evolved Facebook page. Again, that's bowlingevolved.com. Their Facebook page will have the flyer. Of course, if there are any questions, feel free to email the show, bowlingevolved@gmail.com. I will be happy to get back to you, or, of course, you can message us on Facebook as well. I do want to say a big thank you out to at least our first sponsor on the event. We'd like to say thank you to Steve Adams and Mongoose Bowling Products, as well as Real Bowlers Tape. You can check out Mongoose Bowling Products at mongooseproducts.com, Real Bowlers Tape at realbowlerstape.com. Great products, great stuff, and it's always fantastic to have someone like Steve on board helping us promote bowling and hopefully giving an opportunity to see bowling back in the limelight, as I said, get it some not just regional exposure, but hopefully some national exposure too.
Yeah, that's the idea. And, of course, you know, Steve's been around a long time, and he's more than willing to give us some help on this project. So, and we're glad to carry the Mongoose name, that's for sure.
Very much so. I think it's also one of those situations where we are going to be coming in at a very interesting time as far as bowling goes. Obviously, the PBA itself will be overseas for a couple international tournaments before the World Series. Ron Moore will have his senior event in Vegas that will be ending a couple days before our event, which I believe that TVS will also be doing some coverage on. So it's going to be part of a very large bowling extravaganza of a week there. I think there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of bowlers to make some decent money. And, you know, for the first time in a long time, Eric, you know, it seems like maybe it might be worthwhile to pick up a bowling ball and try to make your rent for the week, you know?
I definitely think people should come out and give it a shot. Like I said, it's open to just about anybody, which is kind of nice because there's quite a few tournaments out there that do not allow everyone to bowl. So the fact that we do, that's pretty awesome.
Completely agree. Already signed up, we do have some stunning people coming into this event just on word of mouth alone, including the announcement that the one and only Butch Soper, one of the favorite journeymen from the PBA Tour, probably most famous for winning the 1996 PBA National and, of course, shooting 300 on TV in 1994. He's actually going to be bowling with my mother herself, the owner of Elite Pro Shop, Heidi Frederick. I think that's going to be a very fun team to see. And, anytime Butch Soper is in an event, you're guaranteed to have a good time. He's definitely a one-of-a-kind character.
Oh, Butch is terrific, and it's nice to see him bowling again. And like I said, just adds a little more quality to the field. And I expect the field to be mostly amateurs, but I'm sure there'll be a few professionals around that want to take a shot at it.
I certainly hope so. And again, as we've discussed many times, I think the one thing missing from bowling is an equalized playing field where you do have the opportunity from both sides of the equation to compete fairly and equally. I can announce, too, that we will be bowling on the USBC white pattern, and we are looking at a lot of side action involved as well. We will have a full range of side pots, brackets, and, of course, a lot of scratch action, too. So, once again, November 19th and 20th, main show taking place on the 20th, as well as the TV tapings, and we will have future updates on when and where you can see the Bowling Evolved 2x4, not only online, but hopefully on TV as well. But with that being said, from great news about our tournament, Eric, into some very strange and disheartening news, it was announced that the USBC Mixed Tournament has been canceled for 2017, and that entries are now being refunded to all of the participants that have already signed up. And really, there has been no news or any sort of tweet or press release to my knowledge, at least at the time of this recording, that we know why this is happening. And we can only speculate, but do you think it might be a lack of interest or a lack of sponsors or a combination of both?
I'm guessing it's a combination of both. I mean, it obviously doesn't surprise me, but the way bowling, the trend with people not supporting tournaments like they used to, and maybe this is just one other event that's going to fall on the wayside because of that.
That's truly unfortunate. I know the USBC Open Championships are always so great, and you would think the mixed championships would be just as fantastic. I know several people who have bowled it in the past. They had a great time up there, and the money always seemed to be good. But, of course, this is also coming right after the news of the reshifting around of the U.S. Open prize money, and I'm sure, Eric, you saw a little bit on that they've now changed how they're going to be distributing the top prizes for the U.S. Open this year.
Yeah, I found that very interesting, that's for sure. Like I said, I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I find it odd. It's really bizarre. And again, of course, this is coming from my humble perspective. Obviously, Eric, being as a PBA member as long as you have been, being out on tour full-time as you were, something like this never would have happened back in the 90s, not to this extent where it seems like there's just radical changes that unfortunately are more, without any other ideas, are more harmful than anything. Obviously, with what's going on with our events and several other independent events out there still seems to be viability and interest in the tournaments, but I'm wondering why USBC can't seem to capitalize on what we've been able to do.
Yeah, it does make you wonder. You talk about the PBA, of course, and they're just finishing up today, as a matter of fact, back in Detroit at Thunderbolt Lanes. Their fall swing where they have 4 or 5 tournaments in the same place, and I got to be honest with you. I followed that event a little bit this week, and it still amazes me that you could possibly bowl 13 games and win a national title. I mean, that to me is just so hard to believe that they would constitute 13 games total, no match play, just 6 games of qualifying, and then a semifinal round of the top 12, bowl another 6 games. Then they cut to the top 5, and then they're going to film all shows today. So all the winners are probably already said and done, but they're going to show them over the course of the next month or whatever. But I can't even imagine to bowl 13 games if that happens, and then you would win the tournament. Now, one of the events, it was a culmination of all four. There was actually like 36 games they bowled, so I'll give them a little credit for that one. But whoever wins that tournament, to me, does deserve a national title. And as great as the talent is out there, but the fact that you only bowl 12 games to make a TV show, I think that's a crime. I am so stuck the way it used to be. I cannot believe. I mean, back in the day, we used to bowl 10 games of qualifying in a regional and then bowl 16 games in the finals. So that was 26 games for a regional title. So you mean to tell me you could bowl 26 games to win a regional title, but you could only possibly bowl 13 games and now you have a national title? It's such a shame. I just don't believe that's the way professional bowling. It's like they're bowling sweepers. They're basically bowling sweepers is what they're doing. And then they have a little TV show at the end, and then they'll show it somewhere down the road, and there's your champion. And again, the talent is terrific, no doubt. Not that it's easy to win, because you still got to beat really good players. But the fact that they only bowl 13 games, possibly, for the guy who wins, if you happen to be the leader, is just astonishing. It just amazes me where it has all come to. I guess, well, it's either that or nothing. So I guess that little thing is better than nothing. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at because of the lack of sponsors and tournament hosts and all the above. So this is how they have to conduct events for the players to bowl here in the United States.
And it is truly unfortunate. I know, talking with certain people that watch the PBA and follow it, obviously the pros like yourself have been out there. I mean, even myself bowling in the regional circuit before it turned into these quick sort of events, it does seem somewhat of a shame that you don't get to see the true cream rise to the top. Obviously, with certain events, and going back, you're looking at certain amateur events or regional events. Regional circuit amateur tournaments are obviously going to be a little bit different. But yes, I couldn't agree more. I truly wish there were more games out there to separate the field a little more. I know it was actually on Facebook, and I can't remember who I was reading this by, but they were making a comparison with, you know, how the tournaments were before, and it's crazy. I mean, I'm thinking even back in your day, Eric, I think the tournament that had the least amount of qualifying games, I believe, was probably the senior tour had less games, obviously, than the regular national tour. But I remember wasn't it when you won the PBA mixed doubles? Wasn't that less games of qualifying as well when you were or not mixed doubles, the senior junior doubles on the PBA tour? Wasn't that less games as well?
Well, I'll tell you what, we bowled 18 games on each division, bowled 18 games, and then they cut, I want to say, maybe to the top 12 on each side, and then I believe we bowled 12 games of match play, so you're still looking at 30-plus games. I mean,
sure.
Any way you slice and dice it, anything back then was way more than now. Like I said, we used to bowl 18 games of just qualifying back then. I mean, 3 rounds of 6 to qualify, and then if you made the top 24, obviously you bowled 24 games. So right there, you're looking at 42 games minimum. And I mean, okay, and now you make a TV show. Sounds pretty normal to me, but if you're growing up in today's era and today's way of professional bowling, 14, 15 games, that's normal, and now we have a show. That's just, and the fact that they don't have any match play is even more astonishing. They're basically bowling 2 sweepers, and then they cut to the top 5. I'm not saying it's any less difficult, or more difficult, I should say, but it just doesn't seem like it's and you have, 3, 4 events, 5 events in the same venue. That's just a shame, because what if you don't happen to bowl good in that place? Or what if someone does bowl real well, then they're good for 5 tournaments? It just seems, it's so different. It's from back in the day, and it's just, I have a hard time relating to it. And and I don't know, again, if you're from nowadays, you're just getting started in it, you probably don't know any different, but the guys who've been around, I just wonder what they must think going through that, because you bowl a 6-game sweeper, and if you have 1 bad game, it's basically you're out. When there's 100 bowlers and they're only taking the top 12 in each division, that doesn't leave for a lot of mistake room for after six. You don't get a chance to come back. It's a crapshoot. It's a 6-game spurt, and that's it. And it's just bizarre. I mean, I know they did it to give the guys something to bowl, and obviously they're there supporting it. But come to think of it, they only had 100 bowlers. So
it's
really
funny you bring. I was about to say, the irony of this is we talk about how many pros actually showed up for the event, and really that is not a tremendous turnout. At least I don't consider it a tremendous turnout for the fall swing. So it's really
it's just
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes to show it emphasizes the current state of affairs of a tour that used to be quite something back in the day, and it's really, I don't care what they say, it's just not that terrific. And I'm not passing blame on anyone. I'm just looking at it from someone who used to do it and from someone who keeps track or watches it now, and I'm like, how is that a tournament? How does 12 games constitute making a TV show? How does that work? And how does, really? I don't know. It just seems so odd. And it just, I mean, I understand why they do it, because they're trying to get things over and done quickly and get it all done and get it wrapped up in 3-4 days, and then you're done. There's 5 weeks and 3-4 days, because they don't have the money to travel anymore. They don't have the expenses to do this, and they don't have the sponsors, and I get that. So to keep this thing going, they do stuff like this. But it just seems so. It's just hard to take. Very, very.
It's very unfortunate, and we could hammer on, and we have, talking about different things we dislike. I mean, obviously, we also know that a lot of the proprietors aren't willing to shut down the centers like they used to have that many games. We also know that TV ratings have changed. There's a lot of people that don't like the new format. There's this, there's that. But the fact of the matter is, if anything, and I will say this, and Eric, you already have said it as well, I do give a lot of credit to the guys who are still out there. Obviously, they still are the best bowlers in the world. And at the very least, I do got to give credit to the PBA for at least trying to keep something competitive and compelling out there that these guys can still go out there and shoot.
Oh, like I said, it's the lesser of two evils. I mean, is it better to have absolutely nothing? I mean, at least there's something, but the product, to me, the product is not very good. It's not a very good product, and I'm still a member of that product, so to speak, and I just think it's just not, I mean, my gosh, on the senior tour, they bowl 8 games one day, 8 games the next, then they go to the finals. That's at least 16 games, but they don't. I'm just saying, and those guys are over 50, and a lot of those guys are in there between 60 and 70. So I don't know. It's very peculiar. It's just a sign of the times, and I don't know. It is what it is, and it's just my opinion, but that's just how I feel about it, and I'm sure there's quite a few people who really feel that way about it, but maybe they don't want to say anything, or they just happy for what they have. For the guys who go bowl, they're happy they have something,
Sure. Well, maybe our tournament will take off, and then we'll become the new PBA. We'll be the Bowling Evolve Professional Bowling Association.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know about that, but that's interesting. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, we're going to offer something that hopefully people will be interested in, and maybe we can run some decent events throughout the year, and you never know. We've got to see where it goes.
I think everyone's responsible for helping bowling grow, and as I said many times, and Eric, I know you share the same sentiment as I do, this has never been a money shoot for us. This has never been about, hey, look what we can do. This has been more about our love for bowling, and obviously if we weren't passionate about the sport, I don't think you or I would ever be talking on here, and just to have an opportunity. And my hope is, again, and I'll throw this back out to the fans, like I said, if you do have interest in the Bowling Evolved 2x4, please check out the information on the flyer that will be up on bowlingevolved.com. Share it, support it, get the word out. The more interest we have, the more sponsors we have, the more bowlers we have, the better this can be for bowling across not just Arizona, not just California, not just Nevada, but the entire world, because the more exposure bowling has, the better off we are. And Eric, as I said before, you and I are at the precipice of hopefully something very special, and I feel very proud to have gone to this point with you, partner.
Well, I appreciate that, and the same goes to you. And like I said, all I can do is keep my fingers crossed and hope that people think it's a cool thing to come bowl, and we get some good publicity, get some good stuff written about it, and get some good social media chatter, and get people interested. And we've got a couple months, so hopefully we can ramp this thing up and get all the information out there. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of phone calls and hopefully be inundated with a lot of people wanting to come do it.
It's already starting, and I am looking forward to it. But, Eric, with that being said, that is going to close it on our short season version of our show this evening. I have to say again to all of our fans, please check out bowlingevolved.com for all of our updates. The wonderful Fred Eisenhammer, although he's out on medical leave right now, will be coming back. He updates our Facebook page regularly. We have amazing content on there. Again, also check out our sponsors, mongooseproducts.com, and, of course, EliteProShopAZ.com. And, again, Eric, once we have this tournament come up, I expect not only the world of bowling to, okay, maybe I'm getting a little too grand. I'm hoping at least the regional eyes of bowling are settled upon us, and hopefully we can turn this into something special.
Well, that's the hope. And like I said, we've got a lot of, between the two of us, we know a lot of people in the industry, and hopefully we'll get the right people talking about this. And, maybe some stories will be written, and it'll show that there is still an interest, especially not even at the highest level of bowling, but at good competitive bowling. And maybe this could be the start of something big. You never know. But I'm eager to get the word out and eager to get people involved and the sponsorship. And, of course, our good friend, the late, great Mr. Barry Gurney, we've got him involved with this, with the cancer and with the charity that we're doing with this. So there's a lot of really cool things that are going to go hand in hand with this event. And just keep your fingers crossed, see what happens.
Yes, I don't thank you for reminding me. I almost did forget. We will be donating a portion of the proceeds to the We Care Cancer Support Foundation. That's WeCareCancerSupport.org in the name of the late, great Barry Gurney, who passed away from pancreatic cancer a few years back. And we actually had the opportunity to talk to his wife, Joan, who gave us a very, very nice encouragement and was very happy for what we're doing. Wanted to let everyone know that she's doing very well. And Barry was such a supporter of what we're doing. I can't help but think if he was here right now, he'd have a big smile on his face because obviously we're still trying to make something of this crazy world of bowling.
We're trying to do our little part, just trying to be a little cog in the wheel of this wonderful game, sport of bowling that we just can't seem to get enough of, even though I think there's times where I've had enough of it, but most of the time we can't seem to get enough of it.
All I know is if he was here, I'd tease him that we were going to shut out the left side before the tournament, but that's a story for another time.
Hey, you know what? Just let me know because I'll be glad to sit and watch. I'm happy to watch. I'm okay with watching. And by the way, it wouldn't be the first time, and by the way, it would not be the last time. So it is what it is.
Well, the only other thing I will say, and I have had a comment on this not too long ago, yes, I did take a page out of my partner's book. I was actually watching some video of you in the 90s, Eric, and I am attempting to grow that thick, bushy goatee combo you had back in the day. I'm thinking maybe I'll try to grow that for our TV coverage. What do you think?
I did that on one show, and that was against Duke in Tucson in 98. And Mike Albee gave me a lot of grief for that, and I shaved it off the next week.
Well, perfect. I mean, we'll be trendsetters. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Tune into our next show. We will hopefully have another one up this following weekend. But for my partner, Eric Forkel, Eric and Dustin J. Markowitz, have a great night.
Good night, and I still love that place. I love it.
We're clear.
Clear? Okay.
All right, Eric.
Maybe